Hello there, YouTube. So, I wanted to talk about role-playing games in general, because I run role-playing games. I run a mixture of Dungeons & Dragons, GURPS, Shadowrun, World of Darkness, and a few others as well. And in that time, I've found certain systems can do certain things better than others, but with the whole debacle concerning the OGL and other crap that Wizards of the Coast have been pulling, it's quite clear that people are starting to move away from Dungeons & Dragons. Me too. Now, I don't much care for D&D as a system. I think that it is one of the more compromised systems, but it's the most popular, which is why I've run it as much as I have. At the same point, I think 5th edition is still a good game. I quite enjoyed 3rd edition. I think 4th is needlessly hated. There are some good things about 4th edition that are often ignored because it's a miniatures war game, and yes, it can be played like that. But a lot of roleplay can be done without a rule system. The rule system was there for encounters. The role-playing that you did in between wasn't any lesser by it. Unless your group needs to be prompted to roleplay. So, that's how I felt about it. But I want to discuss my new system. I've developed my system around different attributes, similar to that of Dungeons & Dragons, but not quite the same. And I decided that I wanted to change things up. It's still going to be based on a d20 system, sort of. I'll come back to that later. But the main system I wanted to make this is I wanted a consistent thing, and that is D&D has attack rolls and saving throws and skill checks and ability checks, and it's way too many different mechanics. I was thinking, why don't we change this system so that every single thing is a skill check? Everything. So that's what I did. I have my attributes, and I have various different skills for all of them, which I'll stick on screen, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about, because I've developed a character sheet with the different attributes and the different skills. Now you'll notice that there's 8 attributes, and each of the attributes has 5 skills. If you look at, we've got strength, dexterity, endurance and composure as the physical attributes, and then we have intelligence, wisdom, charisma and sanity as the mental attributes. Now I say physical and mental, but there's some crossover. Some components of composure are more mental, and some components of wisdom are physical, because perception is based on your physical eyes and things like that. So there's aspects to it either way that can change. Now, having it set up the way it is, we have different skills. You'll notice that there's a lot more skills than there is in D&D. There are 5 per attribute, which is a total of 40 skills. Now, some of the skills you'll recognise, things like stealth, perception, survival, those are the same skills that you'll find in D&D. Other skills are not. And this is where I've changed things. Attacking. There's no longer your attack roll. You roll the attacking skill. And depending on how you're attacking, you roll a different skill. If you're shooting someone with a bow, you roll the archery skill. If you're using a finesse-based sword, like a rapier, you use the finesse strike skill. So there's different kinds of attacks that you can use, and it gives you the ability to specialise in various different areas, the same way that the academic might specialise in their nature and medicine skills and things like that. So everything is a skill check. What about spellcasting? Because magic is very different. Magic in base D&D is different in so many different ways. You can make attack rolls with spells. You can cast the spell and then the opponent has to make a saving throw. it can be so different depending on what spell you're using. So the way I've done it is simple. It's just a skill check. You go to cast your spell. You first roll to see if you cast or miscast, because I'm going to make it so that spells can fail. So if you want to cast a necromancy spell, you roll the necromancy skill. If you want to cast a transmutation spell, you roll a transmutation skill check. And each school of magic has a different skill, and they're dotted around everywhere. They're not all in one area. So you can't just be a wizard by focusing on a single attribute. You have to move your points around so that you can do various different things. Once you've successfully cast the spell, you then roll to attack with the spell. So a spell will require multiple rolls. One to cast the spell and one to actually hit the target. And that's the way I'm planning it. Now, depending on the spell, I may make it so that there's a roll to cast, and the roll to cast is also the roll to hit. That's something I could do. Save the dice rolls by combining them into a single roll. But that does mean that there's a chance that a spell with a very high miscast chance you don't miss with. You either successfully cast it accurately or you miscast it. You never miss with it, which is something I'm not sure I want to do. Now, the other possibility is that we can make spells something that you can dodge out of the way of and avoid in that manner. And that's a good move. That would help quite a lot. Now, dodging is something we just don't really have in D&D, but it's in my system. You make a dodge check with the acrobatics skill, and you can use the fortitude skill to withstand an attack. So that would be like bracing a shield and just taking it. Both are defensive abilities, and both help you to shrug off attacks. You can also parry if, say, you're being attacked with a sword and you also have a sword. You can make your melee combat skill check to parry the attack and block it that way. So everything is down to skill checks. That's the plan for this system. I'm very, very pleased with the system so far. I've done quite a lot of building on it, and I want to share the onset of what the plan is with you guys and see what you all think. So this is the beginnings of the system. It's not the only part that's been changed and influenced from other areas, but this is the kernel of the system. It's all based on these 40 skill checks and how they all interact with each other. So yeah, this is my new system. It's the very beginnings, kind of like a preview of the system. But I'm hoping to have it playable within the next few weeks, and hopefully, if people want to play test it and let me know what they think, we'll have some feedback and we'll be able to see if there's any areas that need rebalancing. So until then, thanks for listening to me ramble about my new system, and I'll see you next time. Bye.